Hi there, I'm Richard Hill, the host of eCom at One, and welcome to episode 206. Now, in this episode, I speak with Umar Faizan, Director of Growth at Growth Winner. Now, I met Umar over 12 months ago at the SEO Mastery Conference in the amazing city of Saigon in Vietnam. A huge systems guy and implementer, he spends a lot of his time in the trenches working on SEO and link building strategies for e-commerce brands, so I had to get him on the show. We talk Umar's approach to link building for e-commerce brands. Should e-commerce brands build an in-house link building team or outsource it? An interesting debate there. How Umar's approach to link building analysis and understanding the gaps that a client may need to close or improve rankings in a given niche. He has an interesting twist on our category link gap analysis in this one. And then we talk about creating link-worthy content for industries that don't naturally attract attention, which is quite an interesting take, to be fair. And of course, so much more in this one. If you enjoyed this episode, hit the subscribe or follow button wherever you are listening to this podcast so you're always the first to know when a new episode is released. Now, let's head over to this fantastic episode. Hey Umar, how you doing?
I'm good. What about you?
I am very good. Very, very good. Nice to see you. I've not seen you for a little while. Me and Umar met about 12 months ago. At an event, didn't we? Back in Saigon, in Vietnam,
in April,
in the SEO Mastery event, and we had a lovely meal on that night. And so, right, let's get you on the podcast. So here we are, almost 12 months later. But yeah, I think let's crack on. But I think before we get into all things SEO and link building, it'd be nice for you to introduce yourself and how you got into the world of SEO and link building.
For sure. So my name is Omar. I own an SEO agency, Growth Winner. So we mostly do link building for e-commerce businesses as well as SaaS businesses and a bit of brick and mortar businesses. So that's pretty much part of it. How I got into SEO is an interesting part that I started my own affiliate website by seeing some of the guys around me who are making like really good money. So I started out as a graphic designer, then I went on as a video editor, and then finally when I started when I saw them, like they are making more money compared to the video editors and graphic designers, so I thought like this is a good career to be in. So, and within SEO, links were like that happened like after 1.5 years, links were selling like so fast, and there was so much money to be made. So that's why I specialize sort of into link building. We do manage a lot of fully managed SEO campaigns, but our specialization falls under link building. So
it's funny when we go to these conferences. Obviously, we both go to. We were in Thailand even 3 months ago, and half the people there's a lot of link building, and there's a reason why. And I think you alluded to it. It's the cash.
Yeah. The reason is like it happened to me. I went to a conference. There were like 110 people, and you won't believe me, I met like nearly 80 of them, and almost 70 of them were doing link building. So out of 110 people, 70 were doing link building. So I don't usually sell in these conferences because almost every single person is just selling out there. So
yeah, it's quite relentless. Yeah, I have to sort of you have to be quite brutal on that. It's a lot of people trying to sell things, but obviously they're great conferences, and we meet a lot of great people. So obviously, I saw you do a talk at Chiang Mai SEO at the link building event a couple of days before. The Mastery. So obviously, I thought, right, let's get you on. And I think you had some unique approaches to different areas. And obviously, you talked a little bit about local SEO, and then we've had a lot of conversations around local and e-commerce link building. So I think to kick off, obviously, there's quite a lot of, I think, people do link building in different ways, and there's a lot of old school theory out there still that people still maybe think works, and maybe some of it does, and there's a bit of a mystery around quite a lot of link building, what does and what doesn't work and so forth. But I think it'd be good for you to step us through your approach and process for e-commerce brands around link building.
So one of the things that we have been testing recently is if you just talk about like not on the side of link building, but if we talk about like really the brand building when it comes to e-commerce. Since I will try my best to cater this all of these strategies based on your audience. Since before the podcast, I asked you like who will be listening to the the podcast, right? So the thing is, one of the things that worked really really well, and I will be talking more about it in my speech on SEO Master Summit. So and that is to let people talk about the brand before you even launch your products, right? So one of the things that had really really good impact was people were searching for our products with the brand name before it was launched, right? So and the way we did that is we hired in couple of influencers in that niche, and if you are interested, that was in the skincare brand, right? So we had a couple of like influencers in that niche, and they were talking about our product. Okay, this product is launching, and that is a brand. So it works uh, both ways, like for the brands who are starting out and for the brands who are already established, right? So for the brands who are already established, what you can do is you can do that for your newly launched product, right? So you can already have the search volume for that product before it's even launched, right? So people will be searching for that product with your brand name, and that's a huge SEO factor, in my opinion, right? And that's just the one part of it. So what we try to do is mainly think about how we can how we can let people do search for our brand or search for our products before it really happens, right? And then traditionally is think some out of the box strategies that we can use to leverage link building. I will talk more about it later in the podcast.
So you making sure there's a demand for the product service already. So I think that's similar to when I think about the e-commerce stores I used to run and some of the clients, that if there's a new set of products coming out, you think, oh, we'll create the product pages in when the products come out. No, create them well in advance so the pages are getting indexed. The pages you're first in the index. You're first in the index with the products before there's even a demand for them. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then when there is demand, you've already got in the index 3 months before. You've already created that buzz around the product. Yeah.
So even though when I was doing affiliate websites, what I did was I would create the page where I am just talking about the launch of that product. So for example, we are promoting let's say a watch brand, right? Since I sell watches as well. So if we're talking about like so if you're talking, if we're reviewing a watch and there's another product that will be launched, let's say after 3 months by that brand, right? So we will create a page that will be optimized for that product page, and then add the review part or best products to buy, and then we will be talking about that product before it's launched, right? So when the product when the product will be launched in next 3 months and people will be searching for it, so they will be directly landing to our page and clicking our affiliate links. So the same way that we are doing for that brand, you can do that for your own website.
Yeah, I love it. So I think what a lot of e-com stores struggle with is that sort of a repeatable, scalable, making sure that there's some consistency with the link building. Maybe step us through. I know that after the when we first met, it was very clear that you're a systems guy and crunching down and super like uber organized and detailed, which I also love. So listening to you that first time we met, it was great. But I think, for the listeners, I think it's it's probably an area that we haven't talked about a lot until this series around link building over the last 4 or 5 years. But it's obviously it's a big part of our agency, link building and digital PR as well.
Yeah.
But in terms of like, obviously you're a big systems guy. Maybe step us through that sort of system and the scalability aspect of link building.
Yeah, so one of the things that I have seen working. So, by the way, regarding the system thing, yes, that's my specialty. And one of the SEO platform, IMG, they asked me to create a course around that as well to guide other e-commerce businesses to create the systems around that. So, regarding systems, you have to identify like what's already working for you, right? Since you mentioned like if you are already a brand that is getting like, let's say you're getting some links and you have built a really good business that is past like £1 million, that means you have some sort of like SEO in place, right? Just like we're doing ads, we we are after finding winners, right? Winners in our ads. So the same way you should do is the winners in your links, right? Just check out like what are some of the links that that were responsible for generating you like 80% of the links. Checking your link profile. If you're not that much, if you don't have that much SEO visibility, you can go out and check your competitors, right? Since competitors are already ranking, Google is loving them, Google is giving them traffic. So see what's working for them and then double down on that. So that was just kind of a generic thing. But what you are going to do is to build out a system. So for example, what we think of is why we can't scale link building is mainly when we have to, pass, let's say 20 links per month. We really struggle with that because we do not think of building 30 or 40 or even 50 links per month. We are working with a brand right now. It's one of the biggest website in education niche. It's not an e-commerce store. So what they are doing is like they are building hundreds and hundreds of links per month. And how they made it happen is basically they built out the systems, and I was one of them working in the whole process. So we already thought of like what we are going to do when we are going to build 100 links per month, what kind of system that we will need, what kind of processes that we will need, what kind of SOPs that we will need. So for example, one of the famous link building strategy, or the part of link building, is reaching out to other websites, and it's called email outreach link building, right? Where you reach out to other websites, you ask for the link exchange and blah, 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 right? So you should have like your proper SOPs boiled down, just like we do. So how you are going to research those websites. So even the dumbest person on planet, I shouldn't be saying this, but again, McDonald's is run by like the teenagers, right? They're able to do so because they have really good systems in place. So the example here is that, so you should have like, if there is any, so in our SOPs, what we do is, even if we are clicking a button, we would say in our video, click submit button, right? And then once we use that transcript to create the SOP out of it, in the SOP, it's mentioned, click submit button, right? So that if there is any dumbest person, implementing that SOP, we can, we don't have any issues with the quality of the work or with the results of it, right? Since because if you're hiring experts to do that stuff, it will be very expensive for you, right? So you want to build a system where you want to hire people who can implement your processes, your SOP, and help you scale, rather than hiring a lot of highly skilled people who are working their own way. That's not scalable at all, right? So find a strategy or find something that's working for you already or your competitors, and then double down on it.
Success leaves clues, as they say. I think there's if there's a competitor that is getting links from a certain type of, whether that's manufacturers, for example, and you're selling the same manufacturer products. We've missed a trick there. We can go to the manufacturers that we sell, reach out to them and say,
Let me give you an example here, like a real example that worked very well.
Now, you might be looking for an SEO boost, a down-to-earth digital PR campaign to share your story, or maybe just some straightforward technical help to amp up your performance. Now, that's where eCom Now comes in. A partner that's all about making things easier for your online store. Our services cover everything from creating professional content for your e-commerce categories to refining your product descriptions. Now, whether you're just starting out or have been in it for a while, we're here to deliver real, impactful results that add to your bottom line without unnecessary commitments. You can order one-off or multiple projects with a quick turnaround. Simply choose what you need.
For one of the websites that we were working, and I was analyzing the link profile. So one thing was working really well for them. So it's the affiliate links. If you happen to be at the conferences like the Affiliate World conferences, or in Dubai or anything like that, so there are a lot of people who are doing e-commerce, but they are not mainly into SEO, right? So they're looking for those people. So what they were doing is, they had a set of products. They were just, selling the products through affiliate, right? So there were a bunch of products, and they were just linking directly to the product by adding their affiliate link. And that affiliate link had their own, domain name. So it was kind of working as a, direct link to their profile, just adding their, the affiliate link, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
it's not like a typical affiliate program strategy. It's just like you are just getting the link out of it. So you can
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
go out and reach out to other websites who are mentioning the same kind of product as yours, and then
Yeah.
ask them if you can add our product here as well. So they will even ask you like for in exchange of money
Yeah.
or in exchange of like any affiliate link you can offer or something
Yeah.
like that. So
Yeah, no, that's good. So you sort of touched on it there, but obviously different sized businesses will be listening. But in terms of like in-house or outsourced, and obviously both of us build links, so we're a little bit biased, let's say. But I think let's try not to be too biased.
Okay.
But obviously different sized businesses, got different teams. So obviously certain sized businesses, it's just a small team. Obviously other, as you alluded to, that you may be training people. But what's your take on should e-commerce brands do it in house or should they outsource the link building?
So there's one thing that I learned in business, and that was a really, really helpful thing that I've learned and implemented in any decision that I take. We always think of X or Y mindset, right? Why don't we think of like X and Y, mindset? So what do I mean by that is why not to have in-house and outsourcing as well? Since you want to scale link building, right? So for example, you can hire the strategic kind of employees in house, and then you can outsource to VAs for the laborious work. That's just one example, right? But for the client that we are working right now, they are scaling like link building to the moon. Like they are spending 100K a month just on this type of stuff. So that's a huge money. So they have hired like literally 10 agencies to do that. So they are not outsourcing to one agency. So they are outsourcing to 10 agencies. So it's like, why not you you should have the in-house processes as well, and wherever needed, you can outsource that as well. So it's not like X or Y; it's like X and Y. You can do both.
Yeah, no, that makes me think about. I spoke to a client just yesterday actually, and we're working with them on the paid ad side of the business.
Yeah.
Sorry, on the email marketing and CVO part of their business. And we had a conversation yesterday about their SEO, and they're working with another agency. That's most of our clients come to us. They're working with somebody, and that's fine. But when we got talking about link building and SEO, they're building like 1, 2, 3 links a month. But then when we talk about when we talk about his aspirations to add £10 million a year revenue to his business, obviously I'm like, well, obviously that's from an SEO point of view. If 20% of the revenue is coming from SEO and an extra £2 million in revenue, 1 or 2 links, you'll be 100 years old before you get where you need to get. So obviously we had quite a frank conversation yesterday of we need to build X amount of links. So I guess, and then that then depends on whether or what you do, X and Y or X plus Y. So that's a good answer, Umar. Very, very wise.
out of that, like there's one thing that I learned and implemented, whether it's in link building, whether it's in SEO, whether it's in taking businesses in, is the speed of execution. Literally, to me, it's speed of execution. That's everything. So, for example, if your competitor is building, like, let's say they're acquiring 10 links per month, right? Or 20 or 30 links per month. And if you're at like 50 links per month, you're already exceeding them. And those are not like shit kind of links. You're just, putting more money into it. You're, instead of hiring like, one resource to build like 50 links, he's not going to do that, right? You split that into like, let's say 3, and you're already outpacing your competitors. So it's the speed of execution that let you, succeed in business or whatever you are doing. So
I think straight away I've got so many questions now, Umar, that are coming, because I think let me think of the best way to break this down. So, 100%. Obviously, it depends on the what your goals are, what your team are. Obviously, get support, don't get support. But then I think when you're analyzing, let's maybe go to when you're analyzing what links you need to build. There's obviously we'll talk about how you do that now and some tips on how you would recommend our listeners to look at that.
For sure.
But obviously you're looking at a line in the sand right now. This is the client or the listener, and this is their competitors. This is what we need to build. But what we have to take into account is the that they're also building. So that number is growing. So it's not just about closing the gap, I guess. It's closing the gap and then some if you're really aggressive, because you know that the other competitors are also building and adding to their link profile. So in terms of sort of analyzing the sort of gaps, as I like to call them, what's your sort of process there when you're trying to do that initial piece of strategy? What do we need to build for this client? Step me through how you do that.
So if I'm understanding the question right, it's about how I analyze the link profiles. Am I right or not?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, great. So one thing is you analyze on site-wide basis. So you just go on, analyze, put your competitor's website, put your own website, and then, do, let's say, link gap analysis. From there, you get the idea, okay, these are the links that we're missing. But there's one more strategic way to do it. So you identify your key pages, like your most important pages that you want to rank. So for every business, there are like literally some of the products that are bringing the most business to them. And if they are new, they know that these are the products that will bring most of the business, right? So those are the most important pages for us. So we analyze, we create reports based on the keywords, right? So, okay, let's say these are the keywords that we want to rank, or these are the pages that the categories that we want to rank. And then we analyze like what kind of links that competitors have built to rank those categories. And most important part here is that find hidden links. So for example, if they haven't built a single link on that category page, then why that page is ranking? It's analyzing that, right? So most likely they have built link to their blog pages and then internally linking their category page out of that. That is passing the link to us, right? So it's analyzing the whole structure of it, right? So once we have the keyword basis report, what we do is like finding what are the links that competitors have acquired and what sort of links, right? So for example, if they have acquired like mostly the nature edits or the link insertions, or maybe let's say a guest post, or they were mentioned in the news, it's mostly the homepage. So something like that. So it's on keyword basis rather than with the site-wide basis. And on top of that, we even divide our anchor text as well. So with anchor text strategy, we find out like what sort of anchor text strategy they are using. So in recent months, we start following the anchor text, because when you're looking at a brand, brands don't really think about, what anchors should be used, right? So if you look at like the bigger brands, they are not, thinking about the anchor text, right? So when you're thinking about as a brand, brands are linked like, on a random basis. Like it could be a proper phrase they are linked out, or it could be just a direct link.
It could even be click here, which is not what you would think. That's not what you want, but that's just
100%.
Link building would do the opposite of somebody that knows link building.
So one thing that I always recommend is just think like an SEO for one moment, and then just don't think like an SEO, and then you will have a out of the box strategy to think about.
Yeah. So what's your take on, you talked about, obviously we've got site-wide, so domain level, and then you're going in, and then we're obviously talking more specifically about e-commerce categories, subcategories, blogs. That's very much our strategy. But then, pointing then or linking to, you sort of said, sometimes we link to blogs and then we make sure those blogs then link to the categories. But then what's your take on linking directly to the categories instead of linking to blogs?
It passes more link juice. So it all depends on the linking website. So we find out like what's the most relevant thing to do. So if it's a category thing, we go after that. If it's a blog thing, we go after that. And what Google is already rewarding, right? So if Google is rewarding like linking directly to the category pages, we do that. If Google is rewarding like you're building links first to the blog post and then linking back to the category page, we are just following that strategy. So it's not like one of thing. We just it's all about data. Like we never base our decision based on our opinion, like on our guts. Okay, what we feel. We base our decision based on the data.
Yeah, got it. So let's say now we've done the research, we've built the links, but then tracking that sort of you've obviously either internally spent a lot of resource or you've employed an amazing agency to do the link building, but still you've spent a lot of cash on link building.
Oh yeah.
But like tracking all those links and all that link building effort, any sort of tips around sort of documenting and tracking the links?
So one thing we have already built out like our own in-house app scripts. So it automatically analyzes like if we publish links on like 10 links on XYZ websites, so it will check for those links if the link is still live, since we guarantee for the links as well to our clients. So it will check for those links like if the links are live or not, right? So there's just one part of it. If you are checking. Yeah. So if you're just talking about like reporting to clients or anything like that, so it's just like simply Google Sheets. We don't mess it around, right? Mess it up. So if you're a big company, you can go with the Notion instead of Google Sheets, right? But if you want like automated tracking, that would be like some of the tools like Link Validator. It's a really good one. But I think like it's just the fancy reports. If you're just reporting to clients, it's mainly like you can do that using Google Sheets, since it's really easy to make comments because we need comments from our clients. So it's easy to make comments in let it be in Notion or in Google Sheets. So
no, that's great. I think some people try and overcomplicate it, and I think Google Sheets,
it's really easy to deal with that. I always try to simplify things rather than making them more complicated. So for example, if your employee is working on that, it will be very easy for him or her to report to you, right? So they can just literally copy the link and report to you. Okay, here is the report for this week. But again, for the any tool or anything like that, they will have to create a fancy report out of it, and then maybe put it into a PDF and then share it with you, right? So it's just a shareable link, and then you can add comments or if you need a feedback or anything like that. So
I think it's good. It's a good one to cover because I think quite a lot of the time things can change. Links obviously 404. The company that you got the link from might have had a restructure and remove the link, or some other SEO might have flipped the link out. You're like, well, I've paid for that maybe, or so it's quite a good thing to monitor though, isn't it? Obviously you've spent money, resource on building that link profile. And if every year you're losing 20% of your links, obviously that could be tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of potential equity that you're missing.
Yeah.
So
since I think let's move into some, like every week, every month, depending on the frequency that we're building. So
yeah, no, it's got to be done, because I think that quite a lot of the time that is missed. Obviously not so much from vendors like ourselves and and SEO, reputable SEO companies, but people that are doing it a bit more in house. Right, I built those 6 months later, like, oh, they've gone. But if you're not checking, so obviously let's get into some specifics. I think we've got a lot of listeners around the world that are selling things, whether that's a barbecue, a new pair of earrings, or a new pair of glasses, or a nice stripy shirt, or a crazy purple shirt, or whatever it may be. And I think some industries are easier than others to get placements, to build relationships. Some are quite difficult. What sort of tips would you give our listeners around sort of creating link worthy content for industries that are a little bit trickier, a little bit trickier? Any sort of more difficult ones you've worked on over the years, and how you maybe created something to sort of circumvent what is quite tricky? We work with a lot of different brands, from selling, I was speaking to a chap yesterday that sells water butts, for example, which is a little bit more challenging. Whereas when you're speaking to someone that sells makeup and whey protein, it's a lot easier, isn't it? But any sort of tips around that, creating that content in trickier industries?
So let me just, think about it.
Yeah.
So link-worthy content is it's mainly around like there is something that always works as your tools and resources part of it, right? So you may not find like a lot of statistic around those boring niches or anything like that, because they are boring niches. That's why there are no stats around them, right? But if you think about like what could be some of the problems that your audience, like that your target audience face, and you can use ChatGPT or Claude is really good at this, like brainstorming the different tools and resources for your website. So it could be like any calculator or any other measuring thing or anything like that that your audience want to use. So that's like a really good one, and we do not check out like any DA or the DR or the KD of that keyword or anything like that. We always think about in terms of problem, and then we build around like 10 to 15 tools, and those that are really easy to build and then to market, right? And on top of that, run like maybe $5 per day ad on that, before doing the SEO part, right? So that you're promoting it through ads, right? So that's kind of thing that always works in like literally one of the swimming niche, right? So when you're selling them, you can write the content, but again, when you think about the resources or tools, that's really, really helpful. So
yeah, I think you sort of use the word calculator when you just thinking of our listeners now. What calculator could you build that helps them decide what they need for their project? If they've got a warehouse and they're trying to understand how much racking you need for your warehouse, if you've got a calculator.
And if you just look at it, there will be a lot of websites that are explaining them, but there is no tool for that, right? It will be very, you will be the first mover here to build the tool around it. So,
and I think an extra tip would be, just obviously you've touched on Claude and AI, but creating tools is so much easier now with AI as well. I see a lot of people that we both know from the conferences that we go to that are building various tools, and and I think that is smart, because it's in terms of like development capacities, not needed as much as it was. But that's a really good idea, Umar. That.
If any of the listener is thinking, I have to hire a developer first, and then we need to ask for the approval from XYZ department and things like that, just brainstorm the idea first, right? You can literally ask ChatGPT the reasoning model, like what kind of tools can be built and what rate those tools based on the time required to build them, right? So it will already tell you what kind of tools that you can build literally in just maybe 2 hours, and that's it, right? Those are not complicated tools or where you need like tons of automation or something like that. So
that is such a good takeaway, because I just think from when I last saw you in Chiang Mai, which is 3-4 months ago, I came back with a list of actions, and I've got and the chap who's sat about 10 yards from me now, he's building these little widgets for us to do a few things that we're talking about, and to build. I remember one of the tips around journal request, pushing into Sheets with some LLM overlays to show the sentiment, and little things you can build. Quite straightforward. I know it's easier for us to say that, but as an eCom store, embracing sort of what you can build, and then you're going to get an advantage over these other guys, because if you can have a little calculator on your site that obviously ultimately.
I'm always after, I'm a big fan of selling the e-commerce through, as a, like, what sort of digital product that we can build. Like I was a very big fan of digital products back then. So when starting my own e-commerce businesses. So I own 2 right now. So the thing is, where we can sell out, like, let's say sort of a very small PDF or ebook or a quick PDF to solve their specific problem, where you can just build that PDF and hand them over, right? So what you're doing here is, you're not just creating a link-worthy content for your website, you're also helping your visitors and turn them into your email list that you can use later, right? So you are just not over-relying on SEO here. So you are just getting them on your list, and you can sell them later on over and over and over. So you can just think of those ideas as well, rather than just the calculator itself.
You're covering not just SEO, we're email, we're PPC. We've touched on a few bits there, but I think on probably on the vein of building calculators. Obviously, you've seen, I know you've been doing this a little while, and you've shared all sorts with me over the chats we've had. But what are some sort of maybe a little bit lesser known link building tactics that have worked for you? You touched on outreach. Obviously, a lot of people know about outreach. We touched on, digital PR. But what are maybe some approaches or some sort of lesser known link building tactics that you could share with the listeners? They'll maybe go, God, I didn't think of that. Probably a lot of people haven't thought about building a calculator. But what have you got? A couple of others you could share?
Yeah, for sure. I'm more than happy to do that. So the next link building strategy I'm going to share. So I'm going to share both of them, like for really cool guys, like having really good products, and then the boring products. So one of the things is the patent link building. I've talked about it. We have implemented. So this is not my strategy. This was shared by Eric, one of our guys from OnPage. Like he's really good at OnPage. So so it's the patent link building strategy. What you do is you create, you research about like the patents in your niche, right? So whatever niche you are in, right? So even though like in, let's say the watches or, if you're in sports or anything like that. So when you research about patents are very, very difficult to read, right? So what you do is people want to read that interesting content. Like there's always a set of audience that is always curious to know the reason, to know the logic behind their product, whatever they are using, right? So what you can do is, if you have got like a bit of following on your social pages, or you have already got really good SEO, so you can go ahead and find patents and not translate, but rephrase them into your own language, so that it's easy to understand, right?
Simplify,
and then you can publish, simplify them, right? Then publish them on your website. It's your link worthy content. Then you can share it on your social media. Then on Reddit. Reddit is a really good platform here to share those kind of resources, and you get link out of it.
I love it.
If somehow you manage to find a patent or a keyword that has some sort of search volume, you can run a 5 per day Google ads on it just to acquire the links. Because when I was analyzing this campaign, journalists literally copied the Google ad campaign link and linked to that. they didn't open the page as well.
Didn't remove the tracking ID.
Yeah. So it just works, right? So that is for if you have got like some following, or you know what you're doing. But one strategy that always works, even in your boring niches as well, is testimonial link building. So in every e-commerce business, you work with various suppliers, you work with accounting companies, maybe law firms, etc. So there are other businesses like you, right? So what you can do is you can give them a testimonial and get a homepage backlink in return. Right? So there's a really good, like, homepage backlink is one of the powerful backlinks in the world, not a PBN. So it's one of the legit ways where you can get a link out of. So these are the two strategies that are, other than the guest posting, digital PR, or any other fancy strategy that you want to talk about. But
I love the patent one. I've not heard of that, but how many people that are really are interested in the detail, but probably at the same respect, they probably don't want to go. They probably don't understand the detail. So if you simplify that detail, make it easy to consume this 40-page document down to 20-page document down to a half a dozen pages simplified.
It's really helpful if you are into any sort of tech kind of thing where technology is being used, since there are a lot of patents around technology. So for example, a camera is in front of me, you are selling cameras or maybe lights or maybe watches or anything, like, even though in rings, right? So there was a patent, if I'm not wrong, around the sleep tracking rings and straps that are being used by people, and are they selling the sleep data, since they have one of the most crucial information in the world, that is the sleep data, right? So you can talk more about that. So if you're selling any kind of any wearable product, so
do you track your sleep? I bet you do, don't you?
Yeah.
I've seen some of your spreadsheets. I bet you've got a spreadsheet for your sleep, haven't you? Or a Notion board for your sleep.
I was stunned. How do you know that?
Is that one of the first things you do? You go to your sleep spreadsheet in the morning before your link building.
even like my waking time, my sleeping time, and even though like if I woke up at, let's say, 7 a.m., why I'm at work at 11 a.m., what I was doing the 4 hours.
What's the 4 hours?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah. The details, the details.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, a couple of, great sort of, I mean, how many people listening can reach out and do a testimonial to one of their suppliers? Like just going a bit old school with like your solicitor, your accountant, all the software that you use in your business, which we all use, all these subscriptions we've got.
Yeah.
Obviously there's a local and a national level. We've got local connections, but then on a national level, it's quite straightforward, a bit of time, but yeah, and then
Because
getting the link back.
relevancy here doesn't matter, a lot, because that is a legit business. You are a legit business, and you guys are working together, and it always makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So you are just giving them a testimonial, and then they are linking back to your website. And like one of the crucial thing that I've learned: never ever afraid to ask. Like whatever we are thinking in our minds, like if I'm going to ask him or her, they're just going to reject it anyways, right?
Yeah.
Then what? No problem at all. Just ask another one, right? So just don't hesitate to ask for anything that is in your favor. So it's a bit of like a selfish kind of thing, but again, like it works. So
and I think everybody listening, they're selling quite often, most of them branded products. How many manufacturers, how many brands could you reach out to? And see. I think we touched on it right at the beginning, but it's such a old strategy, but nobody seems to do it, especially if you're doing fairly good numbers. You've got buying power with that manufacturer, a manufacturer that might have been around 20, 30 years on a domain name that's 20 years old, 10 years old, and you're going to have one of not many usually links. It can take a bit of doing, but great. So I think while we're talking about sort of strategies that link building strategies that are lesser known of, let's talk more on a couple of specific case studies of brands that maybe you've worked with. You don't have to obviously share the names, but the sort of industries you've worked in and maybe what you did and what the result was around link building.
So it's really around like so one of the websites that we're working with them right now. So the traffic is not doubled. So they were nearly around like 900K traffic. So they were pulling in around 1 million traffic per month, but they were severely hit by a Google update, and that was due to the links. So they started removing the links, and overnight, and because their traffic was dropping like insanely, they were at around 400K traffic. So when we started working them, it was just going down. So after working for like 7 to 8 months with them, so they are at when I last checked, it was 650 if I'm not wrong. So I have to double check that, since I don't do analytics or anything like that anymore, because it's my team who does that. So the thing is, it's one of that strategy, and one of the things that work for them is the linkable assets, and that too is the research. So kind of the statistic pages. So we did a lot of research. So they are into like kind of medical, you can say, like the kind of products. So pages. So they onboarded like their doctors, and we published like highly researched content on their website. So that brought like, all of the links. So that is one of them. And I have worked in like pretty much not in the CBD or any other grey niches, but again, like let it be like automobile, electronics, jewelry. I sold a lot of jewelry, so wearables, and healthcare e-commerce. So that's just to talk about a few. So
I think the authority pieces is a great topic, because obviously it's easier to create a reasonably good quality of content with different LLMs, but to create something that's new with statistics, with input from somebody that's got a good presence online, a new opinion, that's harder to do. We're seeing that type of statistical piece, new bit of research, doing really well as well. So it obviously takes time to do. Yeah.
One thing that since you mentioned about the link quality here, content quality here.
Yeah.
Right now, the metric for content quality is anything that is above that LLMs can produce, right? LLMs can produce like if LLMs can produce XYZ content, it's not that great content, right?
Yeah.
So you should be always after the content that can be easily generated, can be easily
Yeah.
created, right?
Yeah.
So it's your highly researched content. So
Yeah. I think
obviously they are like a few pieces. This is not the whole content of your website,
yeah.
but again, it's worth it by the end of the day. So
I think it's there was a couple of talks that I think we were both in where I think it was referred, like obviously a lot of people talk about topical authority and building topical authority, but it's like information gain, information gain where you're building, it doesn't exist. So you
yeah,
can't go and ask an LLM to create it because it doesn't
yeah,
exist. So you're building a whole new topic, a whole new area, which is you're building your information game in that area. Yeah, very interesting, very interesting. So, well, a few more questions, Umar. I think digital PR. That's sort of the newer kid on the block. It's not new by any means, but it's banded around. But how important is digital PR when it comes to link building? What's your take on that?
I think due to the awareness in the market right now, and due to everything going on with the link building, people may overdo that, right? So just you should be doing that because they are one of the most powerful links, but again with a mix of other links. Because if you're just getting mentioned by news websites and things like that, so you are just getting the links from the highly non-relevant website, but they are good for the authority. So let me clear 2 points here. So there are one set of links that are to build the authority in the eyes of Google. And then there is one set of links that are to build the trust in the eyes of Google. So if you want to build the authority, you get links from the website that has already, they got already authority in their, in terms of SERPs or in terms of SEO, like the high DR websites, in short, right?
Yeah.
But if you want to build the trust, you get the links from the websites with high traffic, right? So from high traffic pages or from high traffic websites. So digital PR does both too, but again, the relevancy isn't met there, right? So just make a mix of it with other parts of strategy rather than overly relying on that. So
yeah. So I think we've had a couple of people talk about digital PR, and obviously we touched on outreach, and there's an element of the crossover there. But ultimately, we're trying to build. The listeners are trying to build, and we're trying to build. A series of relationships with journalists, owners of websites, and so forth. And it's getting. I think it's it's everyone's inbox is getting hundreds, if not thousands, of emails a week. And any tips around sort of pitching journalists, getting through the spam filters and getting replies and building relationships? What would you say about that? That's a big topic. We could do a whole podcast on that. But
so it's got 2 minutes. It's kind of something our secret. But again, since I shared my secrets on YouTube as well, literally nothing is hidden that I share on my YouTube. So it's literally the process that we use. So to answer your question here is just mention what we do is after in our third email, the first email is just like the straight page. The second is like just a following up. It's just a one-liner. But in the third email, and our third email gets the most replies. I shared it in my video as well. So in our third email, it's like we are directly mentioning something that is highly researched, that is about their niche. So it's about about them, like it's a highly personalized email. So that is according to their niche and according to them, right? So for example, we were working in there's a thing called synthetic data, right? So it was a company that provided synthetic data to other AI companies and in the machine learning niche. So they were we created a piece of statistics and added a screenshot for that in our email that got us the most replies, right? So mention something. So the email shouldn't sound spam. Like one of the things that I use to filter out if it's sounding spam or not is to read that aloud. Once you're done writing the email, just read that aloud. If you are just blabbering, or if you're just kind of your brain is hitting it's a spam, just don't do it. So those are like
they're getting better, aren't they? I had a couple of emails this morning. I was like, is that from a real person? I'm really not sure. They're getting that good now as well.
Yeah. So
okay. Yeah, I mean, we'll link up your YouTube channel, etc., and a few other things at the end, and I'll ask you about that in a moment or two. So, crystal ball time. I like to do a little crystal ball finish. So, we're sat here in 18 months, and you're going, oh yeah, the last 18 months, this has been working. We tested this, and this has been working. What do you think, sort of the future? And when we say future, just the next 18 months or so. That's a long time in this industry. What are your predictions for link building? What's going to be working? What is working more and more?
So I think with the digital PR thing, since everyone is going to use that, so Google is going to take an action on that. So it's just that the digital PR links. Maybe like they're going to tag it or anything like that, because it's not about like really the news kind of thing. And then secondly, again, it's not a prediction, but it's a fact. Link building will gain more weight because AI is just flooding the internet. But Google is going to take action on links, just like they did. They took action on content. With helpful content updates and everything like that, because in the past few months there's not Google update that was just targeted to the links, right? Specifically for links. So there will be a system that can where they can weed out the websites that are just publishing the links and everything like that.
Yeah. So you think there's going to be a Google update coming that might be quite brutal on links in time? Yeah.
I think that, and it will be targeted to us as link builders as well. So,
I'll tell you one last question I'm going to throw at you that might surprise you. So be ready.
Okay.
So, what's your take on doing a disavow? Because it's like everyone's like, some speakers and people like, and then it's like, no.
Okay, so what? Like it really depends. Like so, for example, if you have got a manual penalty, then you must do disavow. This is what I have experienced, and we did implement for one of our clients. But if everything is going well, you have got like tons of shitty backlinks, your website is ranking, just don't touch that. You don't have to do that, right? So just don't obsess over that, that we should do disavow because XYZ SEO influencer is saying that. Just don't listen to that.
Yeah. No, I agree. I concur. So, Umar, it's been an absolute pleasure to get you on. I like to finish every episode with a book recommendation. Do you have a book to recommend to our listeners?
Is it an SEO book or non-SEO book?
Any book you want. It does not matter.
My favorite one. Just a minute. Give me a minute.
Yeah.
So that would be this one. If you are doing anything like e-commerce or anything, I'm not sure.
Oh,
so that is eMyth. If you can see that. Oh. So it's eMyth Revisited. So it's a really, really good book. If you want to, learn about building your system, processes, and SOPs, and then obviously the one thing that we talked about a lot is scaling link building. So that will really give you the ideas what you should do. And you if you haven't watched, like, you must watch a documentary. It's a quick one, The Founder on Netflix. So
yeah, that's a great movie. So, Umar, it's been an absolute pleasure. For those that want to reach out to you, find out more about what you do at the agency, and obviously the YouTube channel, what's the best way to do that?
If you want to reach out to me, that would be my email. It's Umar, UMAR, @growthwinner.com. It's GROWTH WINNER, Growth Winner. So that's my agency website. So that's pretty much it.
Brilliant. We'll link everything up on the show notes. But it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show.
Likewise.
And no doubt I'll see you again in the next year or so at a conference somewhere around the world.
For sure. Looking forward.
Nice to see you, buddy.
Nice to see you.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
If you enjoyed this episode, hit the subscribe or follow button wherever you are listening to this podcast. So you're always the first to know when a new episode is released. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you on the next one.